I'm Rich Lieberman. This is the Bay Area Media Pulse. Now, I've often said here about how, and I use this term quite heavily because this broadcast that I'm about to broadcast is absolute proof positive of this sheep that we have in this market. And I'm talking now about this restaurant opening in Walnut Creek. Original Joe's. It's a big San Francisco restaurant. Very fond of the place. Been there many a time, especially at its earliest iteration in the Tenderloin when it began. Okay? Put that aside for a second. So they've been mentioning, they being the group, the restaurant owners, about opening a new restaurant for a year now, months. So they finally opened their restaurant in that bastion of Cosmopolitanville, Walnut Creek. And in essence, the media here, the little media that we have left, the little mothballs they call television news stations, the fact that we have no newspapers, which is not that unusual given the state of the industry of newspapers. But we have internet sites. We have the, sites that plug stories from these various papers. And all we have heard the last few days is the Original Joe's opening in Walnut Creek. In essence, the media basically here acted as a conduit, a virtual PR firm for this restaurant opening. Now, a couple of things. Ironically, in a kind of a disturbing way, there was a fire at this new restaurant the other night into the morning. Now, they haven't been open long enough to where they can set curious restaurant fires, if you know what I mean. So I think it appears there was a legitimate news story because there was a fire in the very first days of this new restaurant in Walnut Creek. But put that aside, I marveled, even in my cranky, get off my lawn way of thinking, just how many mentions, how much time was given to this restaurant opening in Walnut Creek. And Walnut Creek is like the hotbed of PC openings, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a place to go for families to move and reside in, because it's just so pretty. It's like basically a sophisticated Mayberry RFD. It really is. But this restaurant, the plugs, the mentions, the various TV stations that said film crews to record the opening. This took place last Thursday. And for what? It was a restaurant opening, for God's sakes. There was no fire. Oh, excuse me. There was no terrorist incident. There was no, God forbid, there should have been any kind of horrific thing taking place at this opening, which sad it is, could have been, would have been real news. Now, look, I'm not poo-pooing the idea that a new restaurant with the reputation and the PR acumen that Original Joe's has, it's a big to-do, especially in Walnut Creek. But you're sending TV news crews and making a do. There was no celebrities there. Yeah, it was an opening. They had a big crowd. They had all the Lilliputian social work, Contra Costa people there at the restaurant opening. But it was an opening. And all these media outlets acting like little kids in a candy store and teenagers on their high school prom. Oh my God, we got a restaurant opening. No wonder the press can't, the public has such little use for the press. No wonder the press, and this is on a national basis too, but it translates to local circles also. The public has very little faith in the press. That's why there's this fake news on the domain. That's why people don't really look up to the news, the mainstream news, as they call it, for any guidance, for any kind of regard for leadership or for basic reporting. They've lost faith because the media is so inept these days, particularly our little media bunch in the Bay Area, where a mere restaurant opening garners the kind of attention. It's like these press outlets giving news to Taylor Swift as if she needs news items like I need a Taco Bell number 4. Which, by the way, isn't bad, especially those chicken cantina. But anyway, it's like that's what you got to report. And when you're not reporting this crap, like KCBS doing this ad, it basically was an ad for the mayor in San Francisco, this Daniel Lurie, constantly, and I do mean constantly, interviewing the mayor and finding out from the mayor how great San Francisco is with all these new concerts that took place in Golden Gate Park, as he threw out these numbers on the economic stimulus that the city received, which they did, but nobody bothered to check on did they get really $150 million of convention business, of new hotel business and all that. I'm sure they got something, 150 million. I heard that figure. I heard 75 million. Basically, when KCBS interviewed the mayor, as they have the last few times they've interviewed the mayor, they basically acted as a PR liaison for Mayor Daniel Lurie, who was gleeful, who was cheering. An interview with Steve Scott, who talks like this, who almost could have been the PR spokesperson for one Mayor Daniel Lurie. I'm going off topic, but it's the same thing. We need news, folks. We need oversight. We need what was once, I thought, the basis of having a free and independent press, and that is to cover stories. And sure, lighthearted stories, red burrito openings, taco store openings. Lighthearted news is part of the domain. That is perfectly acceptable. But when it takes place multiple times, and when restaurant openings, which should be a 2 or 3 minute blurb, if that, on the news, take up minutes and more minutes and more minutes, that smells to high heaven. There is something wrong with that. That's not your job. I realize you got to get demos. You got to get cheerful stuff. You know what? People are not there to watch that there's been Taco Bell openings in San Francisco, in Union Square, that there haven't been a restaurant opening in Lily White, Walnut Creek. They worry that the hard stuff, the non-sexy stuff, doesn't get covered. That's the stuff that affects everybody's lifeline. The very fact there are a lot of people in Walnut Creek probably would have been thrilled about the fact that they mentioned 100,000 times, thereabouts, that Original Joe's was opening in Walnut Creek. We got it. Good. Chamber of Commerce. Good. Most notably, Original Joe's. Where are your fucking balls, SF Media? I know you have become marginalized. I know it's difficult for your newbie reporters who look as if they just got off the bus from Fresno, that you can at least try, fake it, try to present news, real news, and not give aid and abetance to companies and restaurants, public sector, private sector, what have you, that frankly don't need the free publicity as much as you give them that. It's positively disgusting. It's positively, absolutely incompetent reporting. There is no reporting. And the little reporting that there is has to do with Original Joe's, opening up something that they've been spectacular in saying they were going to open up for over a year now. And the gullible wannabes, the inbred sheep that constitutes the majority of the San Francisco media, gave them their coverage and then some. What a lovely outcome. All provided courtesy of the lemmings at the various TV news stations, my ass news, at the gullible SF Chronicle and SF Gate, and the gullible Bang newspapers, the Bay Area News Group papers. It is sad. It is indicative of the times that we're in. And it is, yes, without a doubt, a total, once and for all, a total and utter abomination.